Hello folks, this week I have a very exciting update involving the art of the game, where I now officially have some unique designs for the enemies in this game. Before this week we were just using these goblin enemies that you see here, as well as these bats that you see right here as well. And these assets came from free or paid asset packs from itch.io. And I think that these assets are fine, and they work pretty well for what I was doing before, but I did want something that was custom and fit the world of this game. So naturally I tried creating the assets myself, and I failed somewhat miserably. I am not much of an artist. I can draw some of the assets for this game, but the more complex ones are a bit over my head. So I contacted the artist One That Eat You on Twitter. I chose them specifically because they post pixel art pretty regularly, and I really like their art style, and it kind of matches the style that I'm going for with this game. They were a pleasure to work with, and I commissioned them to create two different enemy types, one for a ground enemy and one for a flying enemy, which you can see right here. Naturally, I wanted to give my game some kind of story, and any good story needs some kind of antagonist. So I made the antagonist of my bird character be a series of termites. So the story is very basic. It's just that the termites are invading the bird's home, and the bird needs to go through and defeat some bosses in order to make them go away. I absolutely love how these sprites turned out, and they also provided some animations as well. And here's what they look like in the game itself. You can see that there are two separate animations that these guys have. They have an idle animation where they're just standing, and they have a simple walk cycle animation, which works out very well. It's just gonna walk right along the ground. Then if I move over here, we should be able to see the flying version. And you can see also has a pretty simple animation that I like. It just flutters, and I made it move up and down similar to the bats. So essentially the goal with this is that the flying variants are going to replace the bats entirely, and then the ground variants are going to replace the goblins. And I really like the design of these guys because I can build on them. I could add different color variants where the different colors mean that they do different things. I can have them do different actions, and overall there will still be a lot of variety, even though there's only one real enemy type. Now, the other thing worth mentioning about these enemies is the size. Now, me and the artist actually went through some kind of trial and error process trying to figure out what the best size would be for this game. And ultimately, we decided on this size. It's a size of 30 width and 16 height. We actually have a smaller version, which I'll put on screen right now. The problem with this version is that it ended up being too small, and since this game is focused on diving onto enemies, it ended up being too hard to dive onto them. They were too small, too narrow, and a little bit hard to see on the screen. But naturally, any game that you go through with the art is going to have some iterative process to figure out what works best for that gameplay style. And now that these enemies are done, I can move forward with level design since I know what the enemies are, how big they're going to be, and what kind of variants I can work with. And that about covers everything this week. Be sure to check out One That Eat You on Twitter for their artwork. They're very talented. Be sure to commission them if you have any artwork needs. And thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, please like the video. And I post content like this every single week, so be sure to subscribe if you'd like to see more. Thanks again for watching to the end, and I'll see you in the next one.